And I guess we are live, and it's Monday, 7:30, the day after the crash at St. James's Park. And how we all do feeling? I mean, I guess after winning that Energy Cup, we're not going to mention any names because we're not sponsored by that particular brand. Everyone that has been on an insulin spike of sugar knows that we are crashing down very, very fast after drinking a specific substance of energy drink. But we are here to talk about a lot of things. We have a mega podcast. We're going to talk about is top four in danger? Do we need to add on extra energy? And that is, of course, the transfer market for boost Erik ten Hag, so we never get into this position again. We're going to look at the overall best striker that fits Erik ten Hag's system. And of course, we've done the poll in the socials where you fan base has been voting on. We're going to present that as well. We're also going to look at the midfield targets. And unfortunately, we don't have the time to look at the right back situation. That's a video by itself. And a little bit of the takeover news, as it is kind of this silence for the perfect storm. I have a scintillating panel here. Let's start with Anil Kandola from Talksport. He's our guest. Anil, welcome to this show, my friend. How are you doing?
Yeah, all good, thank you. I mean, it would have been slightly more enjoyable, shall we say, in terms of going into it if we did get the win yesterday. But I'm sure that this therapy session of the next hour or so will certainly help me in terms of getting over it. But yeah, other than the result yesterday, I'm still very optimistic for the season. So yeah, we'll dive into plenty of things today, and hopefully feel a little bit more positive.
Good man, good man, good man. Adding on my vice captain. I will call you Phil Standish. How are you doing, Phil? How you doing? How you doing? Oh, you're on mute. I can't hear you. You're on mute.
Very good, thank you. Obviously disappointed after yesterday's results and performance, but I'm sure we'll touch upon that at some point throughout the show. But as Anil said, still optimistic about the rest of the season. Still believe that there's a good chance for us to finish positive. And if where I expect we'll finish, if we'd have seen that at the beginning of the season and offered it to us, we'd have snatched everybody's hand off, I think, when you look at last season's performance. So yeah, look at the positives, take away a bad day at the office, another one. But yeah, it's the performance that let us down, not the result.
Well, 100%. What do I say? There was no bad at the office. In order to have a bad day at the office, you actually have to turn up to the office, and nobody turned up to the office. Now, last but not least, also adding to the stream, Jay Daly. How are you doing, mate?
Phil, good to be here after the capitulation yesterday on Newcastle Tyneside. But again, I suppose Ten Hag played 9 men, be 11. What do you expect? You expect to lose. Start with 9 men. He got what he deserved, a loss.
Brilliant. Let's do this, guys. Let's kick this on. This is MUFC Realist TV. This is my panel. This is Monday. This is a mega podcast. This is MUFC OK. Before we kick on, before we hit that like button, subscribe, all that jazz, ding, ding, ding. You know the buttons down below. You know how to reach them. Press them now. Do it now. Let's go, people. Let's get into this game.
Has the Premier League ever been more challenging?
Welkom. Dit is mijn home and I want to achieve success. Okay?
Okay, Eric, we want to see success. And unfortunately, yesterday it wasn't. St. James's Park, we got slammed by 2-0. Guys, therapy session, 10 minutes max. Who wants to go first? Who wants to hyperventilate? How do you feel? Do we have Monday Blues hangover, or did we just go, okay, let's go again? Thursday, we're playing Brentford.
Yeah, certainly. I think I'll take the reins for this first question anyway. I think, like I said on a tweet that I posted last night after the game, that we all waited 2 weeks very patiently for Man United to return back to our TV screens. And then unfortunately, it wasn't exactly the return that everyone hoped for. I mean, we could have all at least hoped for a goal at the very minimum, and we didn't get that. And I don't think at any stage, really, we looked like we were going to score the goal. And as Jay alluded to earlier, when you get the tactics wrong and you set the team up, and realistically, it seemed like a few of the players, not just Marcus Rashford, but a few others were still on holiday when they came back to return for the game at St. James's Park. And I think the one big thing amongst probably several instances in terms of moving forward for Manchester United is how vital Casemiro is to that team. I think the signing of him at the time, some people questioned it in terms of the timing, how it came out of nowhere and whatnot. but he has been an absolute revelation. I think personally he's sped up Erik ten Hag's project by about a year or so. I don't think even ten Hag himself could have envisioned how much of an impact he'd have. And you even just look at the win percentage with Casemiro, you know, it's just under 73% with him and then 66.6% without him. I think that's quite damning enough. And if it doesn't make you realise how important he is, then I don't think nothing will. But in terms of the bigger picture, I think, look, it's not the end of the world. I don't think Newcastle was ever a game that any Man United fan looked at, considering how well they've played this season, and thought it was going to be a walk in the park. We've played them twice already. Of course, the Carabao Cup was obviously the most important, and we won that one. And then the 0-0 back at Old Trafford earlier in the season as well. But like I said, you know, United are on course still to play more games than the mighty Liverpool last season, which everyone was raving about, because obviously the Europa League had that extra playoff round against Barcelona, I believe it was. So, you know, it's a situation where, although it's very difficult to take a loss in the manner of which it happened, it's almost a good thing if you let me explain. It's a situation now where Man United fans aren't writing every game going, right, that's a loss, on to the next one. It hurts again, and rightly so. I think last season and the season before, we were almost expecting to lose games more than we did win them. So I think certainly a positive moving forward. United is still in a very good position, and hopefully if Tottenham can drop some points later on this evening, then Man United will be in a position where they've got 2 games in hand over Tottenham, with obviously that point gap. So there's still plenty to play for. The Europa League realistically is the big one for Man United. Even if, heaven forbid, Man United drop out of the top 4, to win the Europa League, not only is it European success, but it also gets us a seeded place in the Champions League for the following season. So like I said, although it's very difficult to take in terms of the loss and the performance, and the squad depth is a massive question as well, it's not the end of the world. So I think we've certainly got things to be optimistic about. And the best thing about a busy and packed schedule is we've got a game in 2 days to certainly get over that loss on Sunday.
Yeah. I agree with you, Anil. Basically, like, you know, he was coming back from the holidays. Everyone was rusty. It seems like as soon as they walk away from Papa Eric, gone internationals, have a break, go to Maldives, gone to New York. We saw pictures coming back. It's not easy to get back where you were. So that's why I don't like really internationals in the middle of end of this final crescendo. But Phil, you reckon top 4 is in danger, or we're good?
I don't think it is in danger, because it's like every other season. It gets to that sort of point of the season where nobody seems to want it. Nobody seems to want top 2, top 3, top 4. We end up joking about it every year. You know, the other year, I think it was under Ollie, we were in about 6th, about 3 games to go, and we ended up in 3rd, just because everybody else just seemed to drop points at the same time. Tottenham are not, you know, obviously looking susceptible at the moment. They've, as Anil said, they've got the game tonight, so that will be a little bit of a difference. See what happens there, because we can start to feel a little bit of a mental battle, because obviously we can. So I think they can overtake us tonight, if I'm right. But we will still obviously have those games in hand. So if we can, if they don't win tonight and then we stay above them and we've got the games in hand, it gives that mental battle back. And I think that makes a bit of a difference just to the gameplay at the moment, because the way we played yesterday, and I played it, I use a very poor term, because I just don't feel we did. I felt that, I know Anil said we didn't see a goal, and I felt that we could have played that game for 3 hours and still not scored, because we just looked like we were never going to score. We had no ideas. We were lackluster. We were just slow in possession, slow tracking down. They were first at every ball, first every second ball. We were lucky we didn't get beat 4-5-0 yesterday. And I don't think we could have walked away shocked if it had been 5-0 the way it went in, you know. I know De Gea made a couple of, but nothing really like, we looked like we were never breaking forward. A couple of moments, but nothing really. I think that we had one shot in 90 minutes, and that you can't really call that a shot even. It was just sad to watch. Really sad. As Anil said, we've waited for the international break and couldn't wait to come back and raring to go. Come on, United! Come on, can't wait for this. Let's get it. But the show back on the road, and it was just awful. I'm just glad we've only got to wait a few days to get it back out of our system. And ironically, it's Brentford next, who were the first one who kick-started our season last time. Are they going to do it again?
Jay, can you answer that question? I mean, obviously we got spanked last time we played Brentford. Was it 4-1 away at Brentford? And now we're playing at home. Obviously, we have a very poor track record away, but at home we have a solid track record of not losing any points.
I think the best fallout from that Brentford game, it was the day that Ten Hag saw Harry Maguire for what he actually is, a very limited, overrated English player on crazy money. So yeah, that was a positive from that game. I don't want to paraphrase what Phil has already said, because he raised some very valid points, but I just want to put a bit of a slant on it here. Since that loss in Liverpool, we've been waiting for this reaction. We've been waiting for the tipping point game. Say, okay, we're back. I think we fortuitously won against Fulham because Fulham pressed the struck button. Up to the point of the first penalty, Fulham had pressed life out of us at home, and we had no answer to it. Yesterday against Newcastle, they pressed life out of us again. The back four with Newcastle, they knew all to do. Okay, we're playing as 𝒂𝒄𝒌. We can play a high line practically at the halfway line. 𝒂𝒂𝒌 is not going to get by us, which he's not. He's not going to create. Marcus Rashford, again, the English media will zone in on his 27 goals, great season, blah blah blah. But when it really gets tough, and you want your Marcus Rashford and your Brunos to step up and show a bit of leadership, they already do. And I said yesterday on the show. So I'm still waiting for that reaction to the Liverpool game. And for me, I haven't seen it yet, gentlemen. I hope the game against Brentford coming up, is it Thursday night, if I'm not mistaken, or Wednesday?
Thursday night.
Thursday, yeah.
You raised some excellent stats there, Anil. Was it 73% of wins with Casemiro?
Yeah, just
66. Versus 66 without him. Yeah. Casemiro has been carrying that team on his back all season. And yesterday, Varane and Martinez, when they're looking to play that out ball, McTominay does his impersonation of Patrick Swayze as per usual. He's a ghost. He doesn't jump for the ball. Bruno is back to running around like a head of chicken like he did under Ole. And people don't want to see what's in front of their eyes. Minus Casemiro in that team, minus Eriksen, that midfield lacks the guile. Take a ball from a back four and start a counter-attack. Jadon Sancho yesterday, I don't know how close you guys watched the game, but he doesn't track back. He doesn't track back at all. He rarely tackles. And in the build-up to the first goal, he's not tracking back. Daly got some scathing criticism yesterday on social media from, as I referred to them, the FIFA kids. If you watch the game back, I think it's 3 or 4 on 1 against Daly. What's he supposed to do? And then, if we're going in, if we're breaking down the game, and we'll all agree, I think we will agree. I can't read your minds, but I know this one we're going to agree. Why would you take off your 2 World Cup winners? That makes no sense. Logic surely would dictate, okay, I'm being overrun midfield. I can A, put Lindelof in midfield, who's composing the ball, has good passing range, or B, if I want to put some bite in my midfield, I bring on Lindelof and I put Martinez in my midfield to run the show and get us back in the game. And Ten Hag didn't either.
It didn't help.
There you are.
It didn't help. What to do? It's what we said. He probably realized that, he had the wrong lineup, he had the wrong balance, he had the wrong energy, and the last desperation, last throw on the dice, he took out the World Cup winners. He threw in Lindelof. I didn't understand that substitution whatsoever, but I think he was just going for an equalizer, and that never happened. But let's just look at the table. I mean, God,
sorry, mate. Just before we go on, mate, I've just got a few comments. Just want to throw them out there. We've got 03C saying yes, AK from the trenches. Look at you now, and then we've got same guy. Big up Anil. We've got the United fan first. This is where we were just talking about the performance from yesterday. This is why I wanted to bring it up quickly before we move on. Attitude is everything. And then went on to say it's your whole starting point. And then there was just one more comment from Lieutenant Colombo's glass eye. ETH was as bad as the players yesterday.
Yeah, he
So I
was.
just wanted to get those out there before we move on. Sorry, but
Yeah,
yeah,
no,
absolutely. Erik ten Hag definitely. I think for one of the few occasions this season, didn't get the lineup right. I think if he'd have started with McFred, that he'd have been told just the same. Well, what are you doing? Why are you going back to that sort of thing? I think Weghorst, I've backed him all season based on his effort and how he's giving others opportunities. But yesterday, he should have been took off at half time. If he, but we going up against Newcastle, they pressed us from the off, maybe even 25th minute, 30th minute, just make an early substitution, do a Mourinho moment. And just middle of the game, this isn't working. I'm going to change it right now. It's not. We were just getting battered from the off and just didn't look at it at all. But yeah, anyway, sorry, as you were, move on.
Yeah, as I were, just displaying the Premier League table as it stands today before Spurs even kick the ball. We know they're kicking the ball very soon. Calculated, we have approximately 11 games left in the Prem, but we also have the Europa League and also the FA Cup. So if everything goes all the way to the finals, we're looking to play ball until June, to be honest, and that's a lot of games, right? So currently we have 15 wins, 5 draws, and 7 losses. But the away form has been woeful lately. But home, it's been impeccable. We haven't lost at home for, I don't know, since when. But looking the games left, of course, we're playing Thursday. We're playing Brentford at home. We have Everton. Then we have Nottingham Forest, Chelsea at home. Now, that's interesting because there's been a lot of managers been sacked. So, yeah, you know what I mean? Potter was sacked. Spurs sacked Conte. Who else has been gone? Leicester fired Brendan Rodgers. There's been one crazy week of football of firing managers. So it's going to be interesting to see how Spurs react and how Chelsea reacts without those main managers. But it is looking all right in a way. We have Chelsea away at home. Yeah, we have Tottenham away. We can win those games. It's going to be from now and on. I hope Christian Eriksen comes back as well. We saw Anthony Martial getting his first, 20 minutes as well?
Yeah, and I think he did more in the 20 minutes, and he still didn't do a lot, but I think he did more in the 20 minutes than half the team did for the rest of the game. He made some movements. He just give a little bit of doubt into the defenders' minds, but only the game was lost. It was just too little, too late. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. I can keep rolling.
But anyway, I think we gotta put the yesterday's loss behind us and look forward. Do you guys expect some really hair dry treatment from Erik ten Hag, and we see a totally different performance from now on Thursday? I mean, obviously they cannot embarrass the United faithfuls at Old Trafford on Thursday. Do you think there will be some form of reaction?
Yeah, without a doubt, and I expect nothing less, to be honest. I think if I was Erik ten Hag, I'd name the exact same starting 11 and say, prove to me why Sunday was just a mishap. It was just a mistake. Every single one of them players, I think, to be honest, has something to prove after that performance. So if I was Erik ten Hag, I'd play the exact same starting 11 and go out there and prove why any of you should be in the future plans. I think even players like Sabitzer, who I do actually feel a little bit sorry for at the end of the day, he hasn't come into an environment where, he's going to be nurtured, if you like, into a position, really understand obviously his role within the club. He's effectively come in and with Casemiro's suspension record, which has been quite a bit of an issue really for Man United, he's been lumped in. And come on, when you're meant to be replacing the best holding midfielder in the world, if we're talking about Casemiro, you're always going to be someone who's not going to do quite as well. So I do certainly think he's got a future, to be honest, at Man United. I know we'll talk about it a little bit later on, but I've been hearing that he'll be available for less than £20 million. So I think it's a bit of a no-brainer. I would see him as someone who's going to come in and play with Casemiro and be that number 8, the player that we really need next to him. But I think he will have a bit of a future. But as I said, it's not just Sabitzer, it's not just the lone players like Weghorst, which I do completely agree with, by the way. I don't think he has a future at Man United, if we're being perfectly honest. So, yeah, I think it's certainly going to be a game that every single player, I think, from the goalkeeper right up front, they all have something to prove. So, yeah, hopefully we'll get a bit of a reaction from it.
Yeah, but Anil, you mentioned something that I mentioned in my post reaction yesterday. It was really hard to pick a man of the match from Manchester United side other than David De Gea. But I also mentioned that I saw Sabitzer was at least giving it all. Like, he was running up and down on that pitch. He was very combative. And what was he supposed to do in that midfield, right, when he didn't have any support? So I thought Sabitzer yesterday showed class. And I think that we should actually talk to Bayern Munich and see what we can get for him, because we absolutely need of him as well. But guys, let's have a look at. Let's park this top four. We don't think it's in danger. We think we're going to finish in top four. We got a comment here from Scott Manderson. Our team isn't. I can't read this. Can you read this, Phil?
Yeah, our team is threadbare. There's no depth. Serious investment needed this summer, and team needs quality, not players stealing a wage. Maguire, Martial, Signo, McTominay, etc. I think obviously when you look at McTominay's week for the internationals, I think Ten Hag's probably thought, well, he's absolutely on fire in his mind at the moment. Give him the opportunity, see what he can do. We knew we were likely to see McTominay anyway with Casemiro out, but I think when you put similar players like McTominay and Sabitzer, I think one of them should have been Fred, because he plays further forward. He plays that more attacking role. But anyway, so yeah, I agree with what Scott's saying. It is threadbare, and we're seeing it more and more as the season goes on, when we're looking a bit tired and look a bit injury. And we know that we obviously have Martial out half the season, and it's a shame because when he's been fit and firing, and certainly it's at the start of the season under Ten Hag, he was looking like this. Now we're going to see the best of him, but he's just always injured, and it's just one of those players, unfortunately, whose just career has been blighted by injury. But yeah, definitely threadbare with Ronaldo going as well. That obviously wasn't foreseen, even though it should have been. You can maybe question that. And I think we just haven't allowed for that extra player to come in when we really needed to. And that's obviously how we ended up with Weghorst, didn't it?
Yeah. Thank you, Scott. That leads us to the next transition. Let's put yesterday's game in the